So for the first time, for the first time ever, we're kind of presenting this. So just before I dig into the platform, just to say that all this data is demo data. So some of the numbers might not make sense. It's just we kind of try to populate a number. So we give you a bit of a feel. What would you get if you'll have access to this? Obviously, if it'll be your account, the data will be linked to your account, and your costs therefore will be all accurate. Cool. So starting with the filters at the top, we are looking at individual brands, or so if you a lot of brands we're working with, they have multiple brands or sub brands, so you could select a specific brand, or you can look at overall account level. Then you can dive into the category. So if you have a brand that is in multiple categories, you could segment that, and you can choose the specific category you want to look at, and then you can even go as deep in as you want. So you can select subcategory if you wish to. Then we have the model filter, which essentially allows you to scroll through different cost types. In this instance, we have subscriber save fees, for examples. We have total cost, which essentially gives you everything, all the costs put together, cost of goods, platform fees. So another one that we've been asked for working with our clients is agency fees. So essentially, if you work with an agency like us, you will like to know how that impacts your overall margin. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to focus on total cost, so we got a full view. You can also look at months. Obviously, you can select one month you want to look at. And then finally, you have the gross revenue or net. The difference between those essentially is the gross includes VAT, the net doesn't. If that is not applicable to your account, then obviously the function would not be applicable. So starting with the top metrics board, so we have the key KPIs. Profit margin is the first one, which essentially is what is your profit in terms of pound sterling in October in this instance. Then that also shows you how many units you sold over this period of time, and then what is your profit margin in terms of percentage. Then finally, you have something called TCOS, which is total cost of sales. That gives you a representation. Essentially, what TCOS is the opposite of the profit. So it's your cost in terms of percentage. Now, under each of those key metrics, you have how those are performing compared to the last month. And also you could see a nice chart that indicates if it went up or down. Then moving to the next section is monthly profit breakdown. So what this is you have a monthly views. In this instance, this is determined by the filter you select at the top. But in this instance, you have a monthly view of your total cost, and it's broken down into what this cost is made of. So in all the elements that kind of makes the cost. So for example, I want to see what happened in May. Then as I click on this, then the overview dashboard changes automatically. So I can see that my margin, the profit, I've done £42,000 in profit. That's up 1.1% versus the previous month. And then what we've done is all the above costs, you can break them down. You can break them down if you want in variable or fixed costs. So an example for this will be a fixed cost will be your terms with Amazon. That will be fixed, like it's a percentage. So then it's easy for you to see what you can control and what you can't control. Essentially, that's the purpose of this. So basically, everything that would go under a variable cost, it could be a chargeback, or it could be something that you can have control in the next month. So it informs your decision. So if I click this back, then unselecting goes back to normal. There are also multiple views to this section. So you have the bar view, which again, it makes a total in terms of revenue, what this is made of. Then you have a stacked view, which is a percentage out of those costs, what they make out of the total. And the one that I really love, because I'm all about data, is the line view, which essentially shows you the trend over time. So I don't know, if I take, for example, July, I can see that, and I'm looking at like advertising. So I see that sponsor ads it was £7,000. And if I move, and as I move along, that changes over time. So immediately allows you to interrogate your margin, to have a very easy understanding of what's going on within your account, and you can, as I mentioned, you can have a top level view that informs the decision you take. So just going back to activate the filter, scrolling down, we built this section because we thought, okay, you have a full view on your account, but then you need to be able to react immediately to what's happening to your accounts, because the whole purpose of this is to drive action. So we built this matrix where essentially we are measuring profit margin in terms of revenue versus percentage. And what it does, based on your top filters, it categorizes your products in 4 buckets. So starting with the bottom left, which is a place you don't really want to be, but this is all your, basically these are the underperformers. So all the products that, I'll just hover over these, so I can see that the profit margin for this is a 20%, and that in terms of revenue that generated just under £8,000. Compared to the whole catalog within that you have, then this is way lower. So then immediately you could see the products that actually are not performing as well compared to the others within your catalog mix. The other cool feature is that if I click on one of the products, on the right hand side I'll have listed all the ASINs that are in this bucket. So then that, again, allows me immediately to be like, okay, this section is a section that I really need to look at and to create cost efficiency. And then by digging into, I'll go in a second to see how you can dig into each ASIN to see what the cost mix is. Then we have the other bucket, which essentially is volume drivers. So in this instance, are products that have high profit in terms of actual money in the bank. So generally this is your high ASP products, or the products with a really good return. And then, however, in this instance, is the chances are that your product is actually quite significant in terms of overall revenue, but the actual margin is not that high. Then you have the niche successes. So essentially you have good margin but low revenue. So if I look here, like the one we're looking at is like £10,000, 36% profit margin. However, if I look at the stars, I can see immediately that that's more profit margin, so £37,000 and 37%. So essentially, immediately allows you to interrogate your products based on the buckets they are in, and allows you to take actions or to drive actions based on those information. The other thing is, as you look on the right hand side, that's a good example because you've got multiples. You see the breakdown of the margin, so you see what the margin is taken out of. So for this instance is you got the variable cost, the fixed cost, or the sponsor ads. Again, this is customizable, so we can customize this based on different metrics. You can also see the profit margin for each, and then how this changed versus last month. And then lastly, the last section is based on the filters you selected at the top. You can actually look individually at each ASIN. So you would see everything you see at the top level here, but in a on ASIN level. So we're looking at profit margin. So just looking for this on this, for instance, we can see that how each metric changes over time for this specific ASIN. So like I can see that, for example, that the sponsor ads is quite stagnant. I can see that the fixed cost actually goes slightly up over time. And again, you can interrogate it as you move along. So it's it's not only you have an overall account view that allows you to see what's going on within your account, but then you have an ASIN breakdown. So why we believe this is powerful is because really what it does is extracting automatically all the data from your Amazon backend, and you could check this every month to see where you stand.